it's Stephanie Stitches here. Welcome to my channel where together we sew. Today I am cutting all the fabrics for the Fort Worth Fabric Studio Simply Spring Sew Along. That began today, and I already posted the video for week 1's blocks, and I cut those previously. I misplaced my fabric guide, so I couldn't cut everything ahead of time. I had to wait till I got that. The folks at Fort Worth Fabric Studio got that to me right away when I emailed, so thank you so much for that, Jody. But because of that, I had to make the first video and cut those pieces for that first so you guys could see how to make those blocks. And then I went back today and I cut all the rest of the fabric for the project. So the good thing about this is that it is a small project, so it shouldn't take too long to cut all this. And now that I have the guide, I know what piece is what. So let's go ahead and get cutting all this beautiful fabric. Okay, so let's get the rest of the fabrics cut for the Simply Spring Sew Along for Fort Worth Fabric Studio. I already put up week 1's video for the week 1 blocks, and I cut the fabrics for that, but I didn't have the rest of my fabric guide, so I think I misplaced it somewhere. But the lovely folks at Fort Worth sent me over an email real quick, the fabric guide, so I was able to get that out, and now I know which fabrics are which, so I'm going to finish cutting on this fabric. So for the first day we needed to cut 3 strips, or we needed, 8 5-inch squares, but we needed 18 altogether for this project. So I went ahead and cut all those squares when I cut the ones for the first day's video. So those are all done. So you'll need to make 18 of those 5-inch squares altogether, 8 for week 1 and 10 for week 2. And then the next thing you needed to do, which I also cut those while I had the fabric here, is cut 7 2-inch by width of fabric strips. Now it says to set 4 of them aside, so let me grab 4. That's 3. There's 1, 2, 3. Oop, one of them's backwards, so I can kind of. Okay, so there's 4. So I'm going to set those 4 aside, and then out of the other 3, we need to cut 12 2-inch by 9.5-inch rectangles for week 3. Okay, so let's get those cut. I'm actually going to open these up and layer them. No, I think I'm going to do them one at a time because they're not wanting to lay just perfectly next to each other, and I don't want to waste a bunch of fabric. So, okay, so again we need 12 2-inch by 9.5-inch strips. So I'm going to trim that end off and then find my 9.5. And this one was just a slight bit off, so I'm going to go back and trim it. Okay. And we do need 12 of those, so make sure you're getting 4 from each strip. Okay, there's all 12 of those. And let's see what's next. I'm gonna check that one off. Oh, that one off. Sorry. Alright, so that's all for the background fabric, so not too bad, pretty quick and easy, and then you have all this left over right here. So just save that aside in case you make any kind of mistake. Put that in my drawer. And then we're going to move on to fabric B. Grab that. Fabric B is this beautiful purple floral, and it looks like we only need from this piece 2 5-inch squares. So I would normally cut a strip and then cut 2 5-inch squares, but I'm going to save as much of this fabric as possible because it's beautiful. So I'm just going to cut from the ends here. It'll mean a little bit more cutting, but I'll save some more of this fabric. So I'm going to have this whole piece as scrap. That's gorgeous. I can use this for something else. Maybe a cute little zipper pouch or something. I'm going to cut these into 5-inch squares. Each and every piece of this fabric is just absolutely gorgeous. So excited to be working with this. Now I get this question all the time, is there enough fabric to starch? I don't know the shrinkage rate for starch because I'm not a starcher, but I am a best press user. And I did best press all these fabrics and there seems to be plenty extra, so I'm gonna guess that you probably can starch with no problem. So that's all we need for fabric B. We grab fabric C. And fabric C is this dark green with the wildflowers print on it. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, and this one we need, let's see, we also need 2 5-inch squares in this one. Cut those out first, and then we will need 8 2.75-inch squares, so 2 3/4 squares. This fabric is just beautiful. I almost hate to cut it, it's so pretty. two 5-inch squares. Now I need to cut 8 2 3/4 squares. Super careful cutting these. I naturally kind of go to the 2.5-inch mark, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. Well, you can get 2 of these per strip if you do it the way I'm cutting it. You can cut it however you like though, if you wanted to cut a strip down. I'm just trying to save as much of this fabric as possible. So I just really love it, and it looks like there's going to be enough scrap to make another maybe small project or a bag or maybe a coordinating pillow or something like that. So, okay. So there's, if you cut it the way I did, there's this much of this fabric left, so yay! I'm going to save all this. I've got a nice pile of scrap left over. Not a big scrap quilter, but when I find fabrics this beautiful, I'm going to save these. Being extra careful here because I'm so used to cutting 2.5-inch squares. I'm afraid I'm going to do that by accident, and I don't want to ruin any of this fabric. Good thing is that there's plenty if you make a little mistake. Check. That should be 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Those are done. So that was fabric C all done. And I move to fabric D, which is this beautiful, it's the same print that we just did, but now it's light pink background. So really, really pretty. And again, this one only needs 2 5-inch squares. So I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. Kind of just cut in the one end so I have extra left over. really thinking this would make a really nice bag, this fabric, with the leftover fabric. There's one square. Two squares. Okay, so that is fabric D. This cutting is going really quickly and I really appreciate that. Okay, so fabric E and fabric F, which would be the next two, are the ones we use for week one. So I've already got those cut, of course, and made into blocks. So this was fabric E and this one was fabric F. So these are all the scrap I had left from those. So I'm going to put that in my scrap pile. And then we need to go to fabric G. Oh, this one's gorgeous too. They're all gorgeous. This blue floral, lovely. Okay, so this one we need 5.5 inch squares again, but 3 of them. And then 4 of those 2 3/4 inch squares. Okay. Square. Two 5-inch squares. Oh, this one was 3. I was thinking about the other ones that were all 2, so need one more 5-inch piece. My 3 5-inch squares. Now I'm going to get the 2 3/4 inch strips for the little 2 3/4 inch squares. And again, I'm going to take my time measuring these because I don't want to cut 2.5 because I'm so used to cutting 2.5 inch squares. Okay, so there's 2 of those. Need 2 more. Alright, there's the 4 of those. So this piece is all scrap, which is a nice big piece. So that's fabric G. I'm going to grab fabric H. Fabric H is this green fern-like fabric. And we're going to need, again, 5-inch squares. We're going to need 2 of them. And then we're going to need 8 of those 2 3/4 squares. So that'll be for those. Yeah, I almost did 2.5. I'm so used to cutting 2.5-inch pieces. Okay, so that'll be for those squares. I'm going to fold this up. This is going to be the extra off of this piece. We were very generous with these cuts. We get lots of extra fabric. I think probably part of it is because they know a lot of you out there like to starch. This allows you to starch those fabrics. So you see that piece. There's 1 5-inch square. Second 5-inch square, and now we're going to get the 8 2 3/4 squares out of these little strips. I'm just going to make it a straight edge here. square. So that takes care of fabric H. Grab fabric I. Oh, this one's pretty. This is that floral again, but on a light green background. So this one we're going to need just 2 5-inch squares. So all this will be extra. One piece in this line that I don't like. It's so pretty. There's one. And that's all we need from that fabric. Let's grab fabric J. Oh, so pretty. Now from fabric J, we only need 1 5-inch square. Oh, this is one of my favorite prints. I love the blue flowers. So pretty. Okay, so we get a lot of this. Keep a lot of that. So set that aside. This one is so pretty. I'm kind of sad we're only using one piece. But that's okay because that means we can use that extra for something else. Okay, so 1 square of J. Let's grab fabric K. Fabric K is that same floral again, but with a white background. So we only need 1 square of this, 1 5-inch square of this. And then we get all this extra. Wow. Look at this pile of extra so far, guys. Nice. A little bit to make a whole nother project. This is more than just a bag. This might end up turning into something else. This actually may be enough fabric to make a whole nother one of these table toppers. You just add in some extra background fabric. Okay, so there's one of those. Now, fabric L. Fabric L is this big old piece of magenta purple-ish. And let's see what we're doing with this guy. Okay, so this one we need 5 2.5 by width of fabric strips. And from the end of one strip, we're going to subcut 4 2-inch squares. So then we're going to set those squares aside for week 3, and the remaining strips are for binding. Oh, that'll be beautiful for binding. Okay. So, I'll fold this in half since we're going to be making strips. I always find that I get the best results if I put the fold towards me when I'm cutting strips. And I'm going to line my ruler on the bottom, make sure everything is looking good. And I'm going to trim off this left side. I'm just making sure the fabric underneath is getting caught in the ruler, and it is. And the ruler just scooched a little. That's okay. You know what? The nice thing about this rotor cutter that I'm using, and I keep forgetting, is that it's left-handed as well, so I can just switch sides. And my daughter is left-handed, so I know how to cut left-handed because I have to teach her how to cut left-handed. This is a new rotary cutter, so I keep forgetting I can cut from the left as well as the right. I'm going to switch it back. Okay, so 5 2.5-inch strips. One. This color is just gorgeous. Forward. Now it said from the end of one of the strips to cut 4 2-inch by 2-inch squares. Well, let's take a look and see how wide these are. This is. Might be able to get some squares out of this. I think I might be able to get the squares with this and not have to cut off one of those strips. You can go ahead and cut off one of those strips if you want. I kind of think I'd rather leave them whole. Okay, so that's 2 inches. And now we need 4 2-inch squares. Okay, there we go. So there's a little bit of extra of this one, not a ton, so be careful when you cut the purple. It's a beautiful color. So we've got that taken care of. And then we need 4 2.5 by width of fabric strips for fabric M. That's all that's left. Grab fabric M. So, I'm going to fold that again since we're going to need strips. Switch my rotary cutter to left-handed. And now cut 4 2.5 inch strips. That's one. Two. Three. And 4. Okay, perfect. And you've got a little strip of this left over too. That's not 2.5 inches though, it's about 2 inches again. But a nice little strip left over, plenty to starch. And I think that was the last one. Yes, we're all done! That wasn't bad. That's a nice thing about a small project. It only took about 35-40 minutes to cut all this, so not bad at all. Okay, well thank you for joining me over at my cutting table to cut up this fabric. It took about 35-40 minutes, so not too bad for this project. A lot of times quilts will take over an hour to cut, even, or sometimes more, so this was a really quick and fun one, which means that the quilt was probably going to go together really quick and easy, so I'm super excited about that. If you haven't seen week 1's block yet being made, I've got the video up for that on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. And I just wanted to let you know that upon listening back as I was editing, that I did hear that the sound is not so great when I was cutting. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't realize it's really, really warm by my cutting area, so I had a fan going, and I didn't realize how badly my fan sounded. And when I heard it on the video and then I turned my fan on, I realized that I think my fan is kind of on its last legs. So I do apologize for that. I know the sound is not great, but at least you can still see all the cutting, hopefully, and follow that along if you like to follow along with the cutting. So I do realize the sound is not great, so I apologize for that. But it's all up there and done, and that's the most important thing. So I hope you join me next Monday for block 2, week 2. I can't wait to see what this is going to come out to. These fabrics are absolutely gorgeous. Every single one I cut I was super excited about because they're just, one's more beautiful than the last, and they're just, I can't wait to finish this project. And we had so much scrap left over. Like, this is all the scrap, okay? So we can almost make a whole nother project, maybe just adding in a few extra pieces of background and some other, maybe some coordinating colors for like binding and things, but this is enough to make a whole nother project. So thank you so much, Fort Worth Fabric Studio. I can't believe how generous you were with your cuts. So if you're a starcher, I think you're definitely going to have room to starch. So that's, you know, great. So I'm happy that we get a whole nother project out of this. So all right, have a great week, and I will see you next time.